Now we're going to move to our second speaker. Let's welcome Aditi Rathi to the stage. She joins us from Mumbai, where she works in SSG as a senior IoT enabling engineer. She's going to inspire us to believe in ourselves. When not at work, Aditi can be found jumping out of airplanes or finding very tall things to bungee jump off of. So if you want to hear about that, here we go. Aditi, come on up.
Good morning. I come from an Indian family that was both liberal and conservative at the same time. Liberal when it came to their education, but conservative when it came to their rights, freedom, and social obligations. This contradiction actually came from their social programming, which I always had two false conflicts with. First, there were different set of rules and charters for the two genders, and education seemed to have changed things only superficially. So a woman, how much ever educated or capable, wasn't encouraged to equal men or be very independent or put her career before her family roles of a mother or a wife. And second, conformation and obedience to these societal rules or norms was very important, and perhaps the least risky path for all women. And somehow it was the same set of norms to judge all women as if they could not be different individuals. So any aberration would be scrutinized, often assumed a failure in family roles, and found little support. So growing up, I was increasingly not fitting into this hypocritical template. I was aspirational, felt equal with men, and made non-traditional choices. I detested the intrusive and daunting role of society in my life. So I was often called a rebel, or at least showed all signs of being one. And that worried my parents a lot about my future and society's verdict on it. But today, my family has a lot of faith in me. They appreciate me for successfully managing both family and work. I have their support despite still being a nonconformist. But for me, the biggest achievement has been bringing a change in their mindset about how liberal or aspirational women need not be outlaws or unidimensional. So today, let me share 3 of my beliefs with you that have helped me win. They have gotten articulated over the course of my journey, but I'm sure they will touch some of you in your personal and professional journeys as well. First, believe in your capabilities as an individual beyond your gender. Second, believe that forces are not working against you. And believe that you will win, but you must have your own plan B. So I remember when I was about 12, 13 years, despite having a green belt in karate, my kid brother, about 3 years younger and half my height, was always sent with me whenever I had to step out for anything in the late evening. While it wasn't the other way around. Lesson: you're weak unless you have a man around you. And even if it meant the man was a little boy. Growing up, there were many such restrictions like not to wear short clothes, not to be friends with boys, that applied only to me and not my brother. It somehow mattered a lot to my mother what the neighbors and the relatives had to talk about my character. So lesson, lives of women are to be controlled and scrutinized. So if this is what you two grew up with, then perhaps subconsciously, you also nurture gender biases laid out in the society. Though I would not resist most restrictions, the implicit gender biases that they pointed out to failed to satisfy my logic ever since as a kid. The rebel within me would prompt me to not restrict myself. And it would always help to think of myself as an individual beyond my gender. And that's why I'm advocating it today. So if you too feel limited as a woman, try to make a paradigm shift. Think what you could do as an individual. View your gender limitation like any other challenge in life and fight it. Easier said than done, for some of you at least. Then all right. So let's first gracefully accept that there are and will always remain certain differences between the allowances that the two genders get. But unless you believe that there is a solution to your problem, there will never be one. Are you with me? Yes. Consider a man who often feels pressurized because the society has laid out in his charter to earn sufficiently well for his family. How is his condition different from a woman's? If women are required to put their families before themselves, so do even men on many occasions. Then why blame your gender for your situation? But having said that, let's also gracefully accept that as women, we may sometimes need greater help and support than men do. But that is no reason to feel weaker or less capable or refrain yourselves from asking for help. How much ever the universe could seem constraining you for your gender, you need to be positive and believe that forces are not working against you. You need to believe that there are at least some people who will understand your aspirations. Use your emotional intelligence, your ability to empathize, to connect with the remaining and understand what will it take to counter-convince them. Leverage every bit of support that you get, and soon you'll see your support building up slowly. Be prudent. Spend your energies fighting only the right battles. And for the rest, use your ability to network, to empathize, to communicate, and to influence, to create an environment, to build a team conducive for your success. So due to family's financial constraints, it took me many years to quit work for higher studies. But my parents were rather eager to get me married. I was already the average marriageable age defined for even working women in India. To make matters worse, I decided to study in the US because that was the only option to earn while I learned. So soon, I was negotiating with my parents about staying abroad all by myself and postponing marriage until graduation, by when they were rather hoping to see their grandchildren. And let me tell you, this was not fun. Thanks to the nosy social coterie, my parents got even more worried about finding me a groom at a late age, about the finances for my plans, and about the possibility of having an outlaw for a daughter. I knew it wouldn't help to disregard their pressures. After all, they had spent their lives yielding to such cultural norms. I was short of a lot of money required to go, so the goal was indeed difficult. This understanding of the situation and the point of views of the stakeholders is emotional intelligence. It basically tells you that fighting a challenge is going to need certain tact and strategy. I knew I needed help. So when I looked around for support, I found it in one of my distant cousins, one of my professors, and one of my good friends, but none in family. But somehow, their faith in me immensely influenced my parents. I further researched, networked with a lot of students in the US, and laid out a detailed financial plan that further impressed them. And finally, I let them know about the guy I liked and how he had encouraged me in the journey, and their marriage concerns were all at bay. So thus, by understanding what their point of views were, by asking for help outside my family, networking, and playing my cards right, I could alleviate their concerns and pursue my dreams. But what if I had failed to achieve what I wanted to do? Then it was time for my plan B. So on another realistic note, as much as we should believe that we will and we can win, let's also accept that we can fail too, and despite having tried very, very hard. But that is no reason to let go of the control of your lives. When I moved back to India from the US, my plan A was to find a good job in the same city where my husband and I wanted to live. But plan B happened. I found a much better job in another city about 5 hours away. So by traditional norms, I should have rather compromised than be away from my husband. But fortunately for me, he understood my career aspirations. So I spent a year as a weekend wife, but eventually grew very unhappy. So after another fruitless search for a job, I just quit my job and moved back with my husband, but this time with my plan C. My own venture in technology consulting for finance. I refused to quit. I refused to quit working because that is what I wanted to do. And many months into it, plan A finally happened. Intel offered me a job to do the same, and rest is history. So basically, take control of your lives. Your plans A, B, C all have to be your choices. In short, define your own successes and failures and do not let anyone else or the society define them for you. If you want to win, set your own norms. It's the same sorry, I realize. So I wasn't a rebel for the sake of being one. I wouldn't contest every norm. I just had a non-traditional take on many choices for my own life. I didn't want to change traditions. I just wanted to steer my own life. And whenever I felt fettered by the society, I would fight it like any other challenge with all my might. And during such times, I would believe in the rebel within me. Because unless you believe in yourself, the world will never believe in you. Do not hesitate to ask for help, network for help, and take control of your lives. And remember, you are an individual first and a certain gender later. Because more often than not, these gender discriminations, these gender roles, gender limitations lie in our minds than anywhere else. You win only when you believe you can. Thank you.